If you know about Hitler, you probably know he had one woman in his life, Eva Braun, the woman he married just one day before he died. But here's what most people don't know. Before Eva Braun, there was another woman in Hitler's life, and she was British, from Britain, the very country that would become Hitler's greatest enemy. So how did a girl from Britain end up becoming one of the most important people in his life? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. This story begins with a British girl named Unity Mitford. Unity Mitford was no ordinary girl. She came from one of Britain's wealthiest, most aristocratic families. But here's where it gets interesting. She was born in London, yet she was conceived in a small Canadian town called Swastika, Ontario, a chilling coincidence given where her life would lead. Unity grew up in a family deeply drawn to fascist ideas. Her sister Diana went on to marry Oswald Mosley, the leader of the British Union of Fascists. But Unity took things even further. She and her sister Jessica were so politically opposed that they literally drew a chalk line down the middle of their shared bedroom. Jessica's side represented communism, and Unity's side was covered in swastikas. That tells you everything about who Unity Mitford was. And soon that obsession would take her straight to Germany. Now, to understand Unity's obsession with Hitler, you have to go back to 1934. She had already seen him speak at a rally in Nuremberg, and from that moment something clicked. She became completely fixated on him, not just as a political figure, but almost like a celebrity. She decided she had to meet him, no matter what it took. So in 1934, she moved to Munich, Germany. And here's the calculated part: she didn't move there at random. She enrolled in a college specifically because it was close to Nazi headquarters. She was already planning several steps ahead. Everyone in Munich knew one thing about Hitler. He was a creature of habit. He regularly ate lunch at a restaurant called Osteria Bavaria. It was an open secret. So Unity began showing up there every single day, sitting in the same spot, watching, waiting, hoping he would notice her. And this is what makes it so remarkable. She did it for 10 months straight. Day after day, lunch after lunch, with no contact. Most people would have given up. But Unity wasn't most people. Her obsession kept her going. Then, one day, Hitler noticed her. He looked across the restaurant, saw the woman who had been coming there for months, and invited her to his table. The lunch lasted about half an hour, and Hitler even paid the bill. That same evening, Unity wrote to her father, "It was the most wonderful and beautiful day of my life. I am the luckiest girl in the world. For me, he is the greatest man of all time." 10 months of waiting. One lunch. And now she was in. Now here's the question. Why would Hitler, one of the most powerful men in the world at that point, take a genuine interest in this British woman? It wasn't random, there were specific reasons. The first and most obvious was her name. Unity's full name was Unity Valkyrie Mitford, and that middle name, Valkyrie, was like a magic word to Hitler. In Germanic and Norse mythology, the Valkyries were fierce female warriors who served Odin, powerful, fearless, almost supernatural figures. Hitler was deeply obsessed with this mythology, and the fact that a British woman carried that name felt like more than coincidence. To him, it was destiny. The second reason was an unexpected family connection. Hitler revered the writer Houston Stewart Chamberlain, known for his anti-Jewish writings. When Hitler learned that Unity's grandfather had translated Chamberlain's work into English, it reshaped how he saw her. In his mind, Unity wasn't just an admirer, she was linked to an intellectual lineage he already idolized. Together, these factors made Hitler genuinely curious about her, and their contact didn't end with a single lunch. They continued meeting regularly, often in private. Over 5 years, Unity and Hitler met more than 140 times. He gave her a golden swastika badge as a personal gift, a private viewing box at the 1936 Berlin Olympics, and even an apartment in Munich in 1938. She wasn't just a fan anymore, she was part of his inner circle. None of this went unnoticed. Senior Nazi officials around Hitler were uneasy. A British citizen, an outsider, was getting closer and closer to the Führer. Some even suspected she might be a British spy. But what could they do? Hitler liked her, and nobody was going to argue with Hitler. Still, the person most affected was Eva Braun, Hitler's official, though secret girlfriend. Eva was already in a difficult position. Hitler rarely acknowledged her in public, and she spent much of her time waiting for him. And now, a tall, striking British aristocrat seemed to be everywhere. Eva noticed. She wrote about it in her diary, referring to Unity as the Valkyrie and not kindly. She made it clear that Hitler was spending time with this woman, and she didn't like it one bit. And honestly, Eva's jealousy made sense. Unity wasn't just admiring Hitler from a distance anymore. She had thrown herself fully into Nazi ideology and then some. She wrote public letters to the Nazi newspaper Der Stürmer, openly declaring her hatred for Jewish people. She made anti-Semitic speeches that were printed in the press. Hitler read one of those speeches and was so pleased that he personally gave her the golden swastika badge. She had become, in the words of many historians, more Nazi than the Nazis themselves. And to top it all off, the apartment Hitler arranged for her in Munich in 1938 wasn't just any apartment. It had been seized from a Jewish couple who had been forcibly removed from their home. Unity moved right in, without hesitation. Eva Braun was jealous. The Nazi officials were nervous. But nobody could touch her. She was the Führer's Valkyrie. By 1939, Europe's political situation was collapsing fast. War between Britain and Germany was no longer a possibility. It was a certainty. And Hitler, whatever his feelings toward Unity, was practical enough to see the danger. He told her directly, "Go home. Go back to Britain. What comes next is not something you want to be caught in the middle of." But Unity refused. She couldn't bring herself to leave. These were her two worlds, Britain, where she was born, and Germany, where she had built her entire identity around one man and one ideology. The thought of choosing between them was unbearable. Then the moment came. On September 3rd, 1939, Britain officially declared war on Germany. That same day, Unity walked into the English Garden, a large public park in Munich, sat down, took out a small pistol, held it to her head, and pulled the trigger. Miraculously, she survived. The bullet didn't kill her. It lodged in her brain, and she was rushed to the hospital immediately. And here's a detail that says a lot about how Hitler felt about her. He personally paid for her medical treatment. He arranged everything. After she stabilized, he organized her transfer to Switzerland for further care and eventually sent her back to Britain. She returned to England in January 1940, carried on a stretcher, mentally diminished, a shadow of the sharp, intense woman she had once been. The bullet had taken something from her that no surgery could restore. Britain didn't quite know what to do with her. She had openly supported their enemy, publicly declared hatred, and been part of Hitler's inner circle. Many wanted her tried as a traitor. But because of her aristocratic family connections and behind-the-scenes political maneuvering, she was never arrested, questioned, or investigated. She simply came home and quietly disappeared from public life. And now we arrive at the part of this story that nobody can fully explain, a rumor that has persisted for decades, and that historians have never been able to fully confirm or dismiss. After Unity returned to England in 1940, she lived a quiet, largely private life. The bullet was still lodged in her brain, her health was deteriorating, and she was far from the bold, outspoken woman who had once sat in Hitler's private box at the Olympics. But sometime in the years between her return and her death, something allegedly happened, something nobody spoke about openly. The rumor is this: Unity gave birth to a child, secretly, at a private maternity hospital. And the whisper that followed was even more explosive, that the child was Hitler's. Where does this story come from? The key figure is a woman named Val Hahn, whose aunt reportedly managed a private maternity hospital in Oxford at the time. Val Hahn came forward years later claiming that a secret birth had taken place there, unregistered, undocumented, completely off the books. And that wasn't entirely implausible. During wartime Britain, many private hospitals handled births that never made it into official records. The chaos of war made it easy, and sometimes necessary, to keep things quiet. Nobody has ever been able to prove it. There is no birth certificate, no medical record, no photograph. But nobody has been able to fully disprove it either. And that gap, that silence, is exactly where the rumor lives. Some people believe that Hitler's illegitimate child grew up in England, lived an ordinary life, and that somewhere in Britain today, his bloodline continues completely unknown, completely hidden, even to themselves. Valkyrie Mitford died on May 28, 1948. The cause was meningitis, triggered by the bullet that had been lodged in her brain for nearly 9 years. She was just 33 years old. She had gone from a wealthy British socialite to Hitler's closest foreign confidant, from his inner circle to a hospital bed, from the heights of fascist Europe to a quiet, broken death in post-war England. And she left behind a story that is still, to this day, not fully told.